and welcome to the Source One podcast. Consider us your source for all things procurement, supply management, and strategic sourcing, anytime, anywhere. More than 50 million Americans currently work as independent contractors, and that number is only going up. By 2020, experts predict that contractors will represent half of the country's workforce. Understandably, many companies are already enjoying the benefit of a blended procurement unit. Far too many, however, hesitate to employ procurement contractors because of lingering misconceptions. Today, Source One's strategic account consultant, Andrew Jones, joins us to discuss the advantages of working with procurement contractors and debunk some of those outdated notions. Before we get started, could you introduce yourself and describe your role at Source One?
My name's Andy Jones, and I am the strategic account consultant here at Source One, just basically another title for recruiter or contract placement expert, I guess you could say.
Thanks, Andy. Obviously, the independent workforce is constantly growing. What do you think it is about independent contracting that appeals to today's procurement professional?
It's funny, I was talking with someone the other day, and he really boiled it down perfectly. He just said he's sick of taking the same route to work, walking into work, seeing the same people. The independent contracting mode of working gives those people much more of a variety, and they have more experience. So I think to kind of make a baseball analogy, you have a lot of independent contractors that are more five-tool players and very versatile. And I think that appeals to a certain group of people.
So that explains why this employment model might appeal to employees, but what are companies hoping to gain when they outsource procurement duties to a contractor?
Well, I think in general, independent contracting appeals to any organization, no matter what department you're in, because it gives you an opportunity to try before you buy. I mean, just think about ourselves. If we had an opportunity for a 90-day trial or a 6-month trial before we actually purchase something, I think we would all take advantage of it. So this gives companies we work with that opportunity. Also, I think independent contracting is very appealing in procurement because a lot of procurement organizations are kind of in their infancy. Like, you have major corporations that have been around for such a long time that really don't understand procurement or supply chain. So they might need to bring in a group of people to help ramp them up, and then they kind of hand it off and move on. There's a lot of money that's actually wasted in mishires. I think it comes out to $869 million, which is huge. So having the opportunity to have somebody on site for a couple of months before you make the decision to bring them on board full time is a nice advantage to have.
Now that we've discussed the potential benefits of procurement contractors, how about we discuss the other side of the issue? There's a lot of misinformation out there about these individuals. It seems for every company employing procurement contractors, there's another avoiding them at all costs. What are some of the misconceptions that might be scaring companies away?
Number one, I think that they look at contractors as not dependable. So somebody that you'll give a job offer to for them to start next month, a week from when they're supposed to start, they go ahead and they take something else. Another one is that they feel like, let's say you have a 6-month project and that person's supposed to be there for 6 months. A lot of companies have the apprehension because they feel like, well, what happens after 3 months? This person is actually offered a little bit more money, are they going to jump? That's where a good recruiter comes in to play, and to make sure they're vetting people properly. Because to be quite honest, a good contractor understands that this is a large industry but a very small, tight-knit family or group. Everybody knows somebody else that's in procurement. Some people say 7 degrees, I'd say it's more or less 4 or 5 degrees. So if you have contractors that are hopping and jumping and hopping and jumping, they're going to ruin their reputation.
And reputation is everything for a contractor, correct?
Absolutely. If you think about it, let's say somebody has 3 different assignments in 1 year. That's an assignment every 4 months. More times than not, they're going to cross paths with the same people. So that's why reputation is so important. Because if they do not have a good reputation, number one, they're not going to get a good reference, which you absolutely need as an independent contractor. You need to have references. When I'm talking to a candidate, I'm getting references from their past 3 projects. If I can't get in touch with somebody, especially a manager, that can give somebody a really solid reference, I start to question that person's character. Or if they can't tell me anybody that they worked with. And number 2, without those good references, they're not going to be able to continue to work and earn a living.
So when you're facing that resistance, what are some strategies you use to change an employer's mind?
Just basically laying out the facts, going over the price for a mishire, how it is over $869 million, and then tying that in to the opportunity to try before you buy. It basically gives you the opportunity to kind of dip your foot in the pool to test out the waters before you jump all the way in, which again is a huge upside.
I would imagine there are some independent contractors out there who live up to the negative stereotypes. What are some best practices companies should utilize for locating the right talent and optimizing their performance?
Use a third-party recruiter like Source One. I mean, HR doesn't have the time to sit and vet out contractors. They're more worried about their permanent hires. So they need to use a reputable organization and a reputable recruiter inside that organization. And then once companies do find a recruiting firm or an organization that can recruit well and place quality people at their location, just keep going back to that company. The job that I do, people inside those organizations, especially in human resources, do not have the time and the bandwidth. I have the time to sit and make 75 phone calls and talk to as many people as possible. And I know what questions to ask. And I've been around long enough that I can also find out red flags right away and just move on and go on to the next person. If somebody's actually out on a job board or career builder or something like that saying they're looking for an opportunity and they have a full voicemail, like, I'm done. If I set time aside to talk to somebody and they're 10 minutes later, whatever the case is, unless there's a decent excuse, I'm moving on to the next person, because if they're going to be like that with me, I'm not going to present them in front of the client.
Thank you so much, Andy. You've been listening to the Source One podcast. For more information on leveraging a blended procurement team, check out our blog, The Strategic Sorcerer. Want to provide feedback or suggest a topic for a future episode? Let us know at prrequest@sourceoneinc.com. Thanks for listening.